Hey beauty, food matters, but it might not be the reason you're still exhausted. Welcome to Her Holistic Healing. If you've been feeling tired, overwhelmed, or like something in your health just isn't adding up, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we take a faith-fueled, whole person approach to your health so you can find clarity, make wise decisions, and experience more energy and peace in your daily life. Someone told me that she wanted to learn more about foods in the Bible, so I started doing some research, and what I found was so exciting. I've said before on the podcast that I eat this type of bread called Ezekiel 4:9 bread. Ezekiel 4:9 says this, and you take wheat and barley, beans and lentils, millet and emmer, and put them into a single vessel and make your bread from them. During the number of days that you lie on your side, 390 days you shall eat it. So Food for Life makes this Ezekiel 4:9 bread and they also make some other types of breads. So I was eating that for a while, but I kind of got tired of it. I started eating sourdough bread because I know that sourdough bread is a lot better for us because of the good bacteria, right? And this is because of the fermentation process. This is what I got excited about. The Old Testament, if you remember, it talks a lot about leavened bread. Maybe the New Testament talks about it too, but I remember it more from the Old Testament. It was really common for people in the Bible to eat leavened bread, which is essentially fermented bread, or what we call sourdough bread. What's really sad is what has happened to our crops, our wheat, our grains. Processed so much that they probably can't compare to the grains in the Bible. But of course, when we look at the Bible, people were eating bread all the time, right? So this got me excited because I have been eating sourdough bread for a long time. I knew it was healthier because it was fermented, but I didn't know that this is a type of bread that they were eating in the Bible, leavened bread or fermented bread. The Bible also talks about honey. I've done episodes on honey before. You can go to episode 38 where I speak with someone who actually made a medicine out of honey. She sells it, and you can go to episode 172 where I talk about bee products in general and how amazing they are. In the Bible, God was always telling the Israelites, "I will lead you to a land flowing with milk and honey." Proverbs 24:13 says this, "My son, eat honey, for it is good, and the drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste." So the Bible actually says to eat honey, and it talks about honeycomb. I realize that some people are allergic to honey, so I know honey isn't for everyone, but honey, I believe, is one of those foods that has so many health benefits that we haven't even discovered yet. That's just my opinion. So since we talked about honey, those verses that talk about a land flowing with milk and honey, let's talk about milk. The Bible talks about milk. It talks especially about goat milk. You can go to episodes 20 and 21 where I talk to a former farmer. She talks about the health benefits of raw milk. I've mentioned raw milk on the podcast before. Raw milk is not pasteurized, it is not homogenized. When dairy is pasteurized and homogenized, especially ultra pasteurized, meaning the milk is heated to such a high temperature very quickly, the milk loses all the wonderful B vitamins and good bacteria that God put in there. So for me, for a long time, I wouldn't take dairy unless it was raw dairy. I still try to stay away from dairy if it's not raw dairy, but every now and then I'll have some organic ice cream, or if I'm at a restaurant, I'll still have dairy. But the thing is since we have pasteurized most of our dairy, because we've gotten rid of all the rich vitamins and minerals in the dairy. I believe that that is why a lot of people can't handle dairy because we've stripped it down to something that is pretty unhealthy. It's not the way God created. It's not the way, I believe it's not the way God intended for us to consume it. Deuteronomy 8:7-8 says, "For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and springs, flowing out in the valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley." There's the wheat and the barley, "of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey." So this passage talks about olive oil. Olive oil was used in cooking. It was used to anoint people. It was used in James. It talks about how we should anoint people with oil and pray over them. They used olive oil for that. Olive oil is a wonderful, healthy fat that has been used throughout history. It has so many benefits, and according to some studies, it can help you live longer. This passage also talks about figs and pomegranates. Figs and pomegranates have a lot of antioxidants. Figs can help fight cancer. It can kill germs. In the Bible, they ate lamb and fish. God also provided the Israelites with quail. I'm not actually, I was about to say, I don't know if I've had quail, but I think I have had quail in a Thai restaurant. Fun fact, my great aunt wrote a cookbook, and I think a lot of recipes that she had in there had quail in them. So sadly, we don't really eat that much quail in the US, but other cultures do eat quail. So that's pretty interesting in my opinion. Matthew 23:23 talks about how people tithed with things like mint, dill, and cumin. Mint is really good for your gut. Spices were seen as really valuable back then, so they were actually used for tithing. Isn't that interesting? And then in Exodus 16:31, it talks about how God provided manna to the Israelites, and the manna was made of different things, including coriander seed. Coriander can help with blood sugar balance, it can lower your cholesterol and your blood pressure. Bible also talks about lentils, beans, and legumes. And in Numbers, the Israelites were talking about how they ate things like cucumbers, leeks, onions, and garlic. Onions and garlic are spectacular for your health. They are wonderful germ killers, among other things. The Bible also talks about water. John 4:14 says this. Or actually John 4:13-14. Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks of the water that I will give him will never be thirsty again." If you actually spend time looking at not just the foods in the Bible, but just foods in nature, you will see that so many foods just have a really, really long list of health benefits. And that was part of God's provision to us. He created all this food with all these wonderful vitamins and minerals, these spices that kill germs and that make food tasty. He created all of that for us, right? And I do believe if you're struggling with your health right now, that changing your diet, cutting certain things out, adding certain things can definitely help. That's the journey that I went on. If you haven't heard my story before, when I was starting to have health issues, I found that healing foods to be so helpful, and for a while my symptoms went away. But then also there was a period of time where I was so confused about what to eat that my weight dropped down to 90 pounds because one health guru will say one thing and another health guru will say the opposite. But what I will say is that eating the right foods, not eating certain foods can definitely make a difference. And maybe that has helped you in the past, or maybe if you make those changes, that will help. there just came a point in my journey where they didn't help as much. And that's when God showed me that my health was suffering. This is just for me. I don't know if it's for you. My health was suffering because I was having I was having trouble trusting God. I was under a lot of stress. And so God has taught me that health is so much more than finding the right diet. It's so much more than having a consistent workout routine. It has to do with, yes, safer products, a safer environment. For instance, if we're living with mold, that can be an issue, right? But a lot of it does and can come back to our mindset, our relationships, how busy we are, whether or not we're resting enough, how we view God, how we view ourselves, how we have or have not dealt with hardships, trauma that we've had in our lives. I talked to one lady for an hour, and she said that one talk was a key to having a huge mindset shift around her health. This one shift led to a ripple effect in her life and how she sees her health and ultimately herself. Another woman said that her anxiety is 90% better and her stomach doesn't hurt at all. Sometimes what can unlock a transformation in your health is actually just one mindset shift. So if you're listening and thinking, I should be feeling better by now, and you've already been trying to clean up your food, be more consistent, do the right things, and it's still not clicking, you're not crazy and you're not doing it wrong. There may just be something deeper going on that you're not seeing yet. And that's exactly what I help you uncover inside my More Energy and Peace session. This isn't about fixing everything in an hour. It's about slowing down, getting honest about what's really going on, and walking away with a clearer next step that actually makes sense for you. You might not need this. Some women do figure it out on their own. But if you're tired of second guessing and you want clarity instead of spinning, I'd love to help you with that. Go to herholistichealing.com/peace. Thanks for listening today. If you like what you heard, would you take a minute to leave the show a review? I would love to connect with you at herholistichealing.substack.com. Matthew 11. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Do, 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 do. Bye. Bye.
This content is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be medical advice.